Welcome to episode 8 of Founders Only. My name is Ronster Baetyong. I'm the founder and CEO of Podcast Network Asia, and also not just the hosts of Founders Only, but also the host of the Hustleshare podcast. And today is very special because we're going to go back to basics as we invite the founder of StartupPH training. His name is Carlo Valencia, who will tell us the basics and the common mistakes that founders still do till now. Because what he does is he helps founders really come from ideation and also scaling their very first few steps in doing the startup life very true. So founders are going to be very, very interested with this because Carlo will share very important tricks and steps that people should not gloss over and skip, because he will also mention the importance of not, skipping steps in validating your idea, building teams, and also creating pitch decks that will allow you to scale. But most importantly, he will also share his amazing and unique top 5 founders presented by Shoppable Business. But before we start this episode, guys, we're now at episode 8. A lot of you guys have been watching Founders Only, but we need a bit of help. I need you to press that subscribe button, aside from liking and commenting our content, because that allows us to scale the show. So if you're here before we start this baby up, I need you guys to press subscribe. We're going to continue to create great content, but please do help us out so we can create great content like this. Founders Only is brought to you by PayMongo, the payment gateway for business growth. PayMongo allows your business to accept online payments from customers through Visa, MasterCard, GCash, GrabPay, Maya, online banking, buy now, pay later, and many more, all with just one online platform. Sign up for free at paymongo.com. Also brought to you by Capita. Capita's software solution seeks to automate the equity management process for startups, including workflows around cap tables, ESOPs, due diligence, and transactions. Sign up at capita.com to get started with your digital cap table, ESOP, award granting, and all things equity. Free for companies with under 25 stakeholders. And brought to you by GoTime Bank. GoTime Bank is owned by the Gokongwei Group, the same companies that brought you brands you love, like Cebu Pacific, Robinsons, True Value, Toys R Us, South Star Drug, and many more. GoTime Bank makes next-level banking a breeze with its convenient account opening process. It takes less than 5 minutes to get started via the app. Plus, get your GoTime Bank Visa card at one of their kiosks for free. Download the GoTime Bank app today and experience the next level of banking. You may visit www.gotimebank.com.ph for more details. And SeekCap. SeekCap is a lending platform powered by UBX Philippines. With SeekCap, you can easily apply for a loan from 5,000 pesos up to 1 million pesos from the comfort of your home nationwide. Visit www.seekcap.ph, sign up, and apply for a loan now. That's www.seekcap.ph. Take your business to new heights by seeking capital with SeekCap. Welcome to the 8th episode of Founders Only. Today, we're going to have an OG again. We've been getting OGs. Basically, if you're back here, you're an old fart like me. Right? And again, I've had this guy, still remember the very specific location and event. It was DevCon.
Yes, sir.
2019. So shout
correct.
out to Shoemate Royo
Yes.
of DevCon. And that was instantly or easily my most intense podcast recording day.
Really?
Yes.
Because that was like one podcast.
Dude, I
after
did
the other.
5 in one day. Okay,
Great.
so I should have charged you for that, Shoemate. Oh my God, but 5 episodes, but you are easily one of the best during that batch. I even call it Hustleshare Quickie. We're doing Quickie because how am I supposed to do 5 regular episodes in one day, right? But we pulled it off. But again, you were such an amazing guest because you came clean of how your mistakes were back then.
Right.
When you were still running your startup with Classico, and how you pivoted to now StartupPH training. And again, now you're back. So let's welcome to the show,
Thank you,
Mr.
thank you.
Carlo Valencia of StartupPH training. Whoop, whoop. There you go.
I said this earlier. I'll say it again. Thank you for bringing me into the internet
Yes. Welcome to the metaverse. Mhm.
I was watching you yesterday in the GN show and a couple of others with Christian. And then I was looking at you earlier. I was like, oh, real life.
I know you're
different.
disappointed. Ah, shit. He
It
looks
looks like my phone has good graphics. So
HD. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Beyond HD na. 8K. More than that. Okay, so Carlo, again, thanks very much for having the time to come back. Today is going to be very interesting because we're going to go back to basics. Ever
Thank you.
since the last time we did the podcast, it's been 4 years, more or less.
yeah,
Holy shit, it's been
it
a
has been
time
4
warp,
years.
right? To talk about it. And we're going to talk about the basics that people often forget of doing startups.
Mhm.
Because most of the time people gloss over things like, okay, I'm too good to go through this route.
Yep.
And I've seen the pattern, just like what I talked about with Christian Blanquera. People make the same mistakes over and over and over
Amen.
again, generation to generation. But before we talk about that, how has been the last 4 years like for you?
You know, it's interesting. When we last spoke, I was in the middle of thinking about, I'm going to build my training company.
Mm.
2019, I was getting one booking after the other. And as you mentioned, Q3, Q4 is
Yep.
a good season.
Yep.
So ending that year, I was like, I'm going to build my training company and we're going to scale it.
Mhm.
And then, COVID happened. So,
Oh my God.
so
Woo.
in a way, I think it might have been a good thing because now initially the trajectory then was corporate training.
Okay.
It's good, it's fun, but it's not entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship is teaching people how to fish. So
Right.
if you're thinking about it from a fulfillment standpoint or like how making you feel good,
Mm.
the entrepreneurship education hands down is a lot better. And that's what I'm hoping to really do most now. And that's why
Mhm.
you see me a lot in StartupPH.
Mhm.
Now I have a product to sell. I do
Admin,
workshops.
by the way. So
Right.
again, I'm just a lurker, and sometimes I post and comment. But he's another admin. So if you saw a common denominator,
Actually,
okay.
yeah. The people coming
Christian.
here.
The creator, yesterday, the last one, Gian
Gian.
Havilon, Gian De La Rama, another admin,
Yep.
right? And now you. So
I wouldn't be surprised if you invite more.
that's my short list.
Right.
No, but again, not everyone there, but most of the ones that are in the admin group are legit. There
Yeah,
you go.
That's for sure.
Okay, so sorry I cut you off, but I want to understand now. Okay, you now really are knee deep or waist deep
Yes.
in training. What has again? So COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to build a training company. What happened?
Kind of fell flat. So we doubled down on corporate training. The theory is if we promote our public workshops, because I've seen this happen, people start asking about private training.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing. And Q1 is pretty slow, but we're starting to get someone. And we had this one client that was really interesting, wanted to get me like 4 sets of 2-day workshops, each
Wow.
at 6 digits. So I'm thinking, I just need to close this one and I'm good for the next 3 months.
Right,
and I
right.
have 3 months to figure out how to scale this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then COVID happens.
Oh my
So that
God.
whole project gets canceled. And I'm fortunately at this time, actually, and props to Kachan and team at
Shout out.
Kubo,
Mhm.
they were starting the Kubo mentorship program.
You're one of the mentors too.
Yeah. And then they said,
Oh.
we're going to pay you in advance and thank you very much. So that kind of helped me kind of like,
Same. That kept me afloat for a while.
thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
So you
Woo.
probably helped several founders weather some
That was
pretty
my
bad
Meralco
storms.
bill for a few months. There
Me
you
too,
go.
man. Meralco, rent, internet.
Yep.
And so trying things out. And again, Q3, Q4, again, corporates come back, knocking back in,
Mhm.
and it got better. Last year, I did a project with DICT, startup mapping.
Wow.
And essentially my main recommendation is, or my main findings were, non-entrepreneurs are teaching entrepreneurship. Right? So
How can you teach a man how to fish if you don't even know how to fish?
right? Actually, I haven't used that analogy. I use the entrepreneurship is like swimming. You can't teach that in a classroom. You need to dive into the pool
Absolutely.
and get yourself
Absolutely.
wet, right? And yes, you cannot teach swimming if you haven't gone swimming.
So yeah, you really can't teach a man how to fish if you've
If
never
you can,
fished.
yeah. Sorry. So we came up with a report, essentially with the main issues with the TBIs. Essentially, is the feeder, which is BS entrepreneurship. Is it's a lot of it's the blind leading the blind. Essentially, there are some entrepreneurial. Don't get me wrong, and they're trying their best. They're not bad people,
Yeah.
but if you haven't experienced it, it's really very hard to teach it. You
Absolutely.
can't. This one exclusive school, which we shall not name,
Okay. Fill in the blanks. Okay.
said, our current curriculum, talking about BS entrepreneurship, is designed for people that will inherit a business,
Yikes.
not start a business. Because if you inherit a business, what do you already have? You have accounting, you have marketing, you have all these things.
And you have daddy money.
And you have daddy money that you just need to keep doing the thing and it's going to make money. With startups, when you're starting, none of that exists, right? You can't simply pick up a business book and go, step one.
Right.
Right. So that's kind of, I realized the mistakes that I made and the mistakes that I teach people to avoid.
Right.
It's inherent. It's not their fault. It's not our fault. It's how we've been taught.
Correct.
And in school, bawal magkamali.
Yes.
Right? And then now I have an idea. All right. I'm going to make this idea so good that they cannot object to it. And then they start building shit.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought, that's a problem worth solving. With Classico at the time, I felt there was something missing. Like, yeah, it's a good opportunity, but it's not something that I really felt passionately about. But this time, on the other hand, like, wow, like if we can just do that thing, teach kids how to sell, teach kids how to start businesses. Correct. Like that's going to be generational.
And you'll see the benefits down the road.
Yeah.
If you teach them the right way because you've lived that life. And again, by the way, I'll just do a segue. Carlo has been here on Hustle on the OG podcast on Hustleshare. And if you want to understand why the hell is he the guest, what has he went through, what he actually failed in his first startup, it's going to be in the description box or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's there. So you have to understand. If you understand why he's teaching this, then he understand that he's lived that life before.
Yeah, I'll give you the 1 minute the 1 minute summary.
Okay, go.
2014. So 2013, I leave corporate, and I'm thinking I have a
from
major,
banking, right? I remember. Yes.
BPO training and banking. I have big major Dunning-Kruger, and I'm like, I got some money. I'm gonna figure this out.
Right.
And then I'm running out of money. Fortunately, somehow I was able to raise money, $9 million. Yeah, they don't want me to talk about that.
Okay.
But anyway, $9 million. And then I started my startup. And then 2 years later, I left. Not making any money or not having much of a platform.
Wow.
Well, there was a platform, but it, definitely could have been better. The business could have been better. We barely made any money.
Yeah.
And because I made the mistakes a lot of first-time founders make, which now we teach how to avoid.
And that's going to be the topic of what we're going to be talking about. Because again, every single generation, the reason why I created Founders Only is because in Hustleshare, it's a biography podcast. Right?
Okay.
I cannot force you to talk about something that's not within your narrative.
True.
Right? I mean, Hustleshare works. I love it. People love it. It does its magic. Right? But sometimes we get to skip certain topics that are present in multiple narratives and we don't go deep enough.
Okay.
And the effect is you see it through generation of startups making the same fucking mistake every time. And this is why we created the sequel, Founders Only. Again, why Founders Only? Because it's the founders that used to make these mistakes anyway.
Yep.
Right?
Also, a lot of founders are looking at there's a lot of situations wherein only a founder will know what to do because they've done it in the past. And if you talk to a corporate guy or an executive guy or a marketing person, even they'll have a totally different perspective to it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with their perspective. But again, the thing with advice when people say it, especially first-time founders, they don't know how to sift through it.
Right.
They don't know how to take it with a grain of salt. They take it, again, because the way we're taught in school, I tell you this shit, do it to the T.
Right.
Right? In reality, as a founder, if you're running a startup, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Is it a perfect fit? Because everyone has their own bias in whatever they're saying, all obviously coming from their own experience or their own expertise. And you just need to filter out which one applies to me, right? So, okay, let's now go to the very first part. Okay,
All right.
Carlo, right? Let's just go back to basics, right?
Cool.
This is what this episode is all about. Back to basics. What are the common mortal sins? Because again,
All right.
you're doing startup PH training.
Give me a startup idea.
Ah,
And then I will tell you what you probably will do, and I will tell you what you shouldn't
okay,
do.
I'll
Right.
think of it.
Right.
Common one is a marketplace.
All right. Let's say.
You've probably heard it.
Oh yeah, man.
Marketplace for X.
Marketplace for. Do you have a podcast marketplace?
I did.
All right. Let's
It didn't-
test that.
It failed.
Right. Let's use that. Right.
Uh-huh.
So marketplace for podcast creators, podcast producers, and
Mhm.
then advertisers.
Yep.
All right,
exactly
let's
what I
pick
did.
All right. So typically, people are gonna go, I have an idea, right? Either A, I'm gonna make a pitch deck, I'm gonna make a lean canvas and kind of write this whole
At
idea
least
down.
they're making a lean canvas now.
Right,
Before
right,
there's
right.
no lean canvas.
Just pitch deck, right? Actually, I'm guilty of that, by the way. We made a pitch deck, no lean canvas.
You know what the hell the business model was,
Man,
problem solution.
yeah. No, I remember I spoke to Paul Rivera.
Yep.
He looked at my deck and I go, this is your deck? Yeah. It's shit.
Typical Paul. Just if you didn't know how to take that back then I took it also. He told me, Paul, can you intro me this X and Y, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. He told me, I can't. Your business model is flawed. I took it personally. But now in hindsight, man, I'm grateful for it.
Right.
Because, man, nobody will tell me that. A normal Filipino way of
True
telling
that.
you that, it's okay, blah, blah. But in reality, fuck this shit. Right?
Okay
So-
naman.
Mm.
Oh.
So when he said your deck was shit, what happened?
No, I took it. I was like, all right, yes, thank you for the feedback. Let me cry now. No,
Yeah.
but after that, we started fixing it. And actually, because of his feedback and because of Gian's generosity, those are the things that really set me up. Sorry, but coming back to mortal sins, I've got a marketplace idea.
Mhm.
I'm gonna make a pitch deck, or I'm gonna start coding. Right? Or
Nice.
because if I'm a developer or if I'm a creative person, I'm going to start doing this on Figma or whatever,
Right.
creating prototypes already. The prototype thing is okay if you show it to people, but what happens is people just dive into the build,
Right.
right? Building the
With
solution.
the mindset of, if you build it, they will come. Nuh-uh,
right?
never.
If you build it without talking to people, nobody will come. They'll come to your lunch and drink your drinks,
Yeah.
eat your food,
I have
but
the $1 million idea.
they're not going to sign up.
Mm.
So what I recommend people do instead of building is talk to your customer. Figure out who would pay for this thing.
Mm.
So marketplace, right? Marketplace. So there's the producer, the people. I have a podcast idea,
Mm.
and then we have the brands. So who's gonna pay?
Mm.
You're probably thinking the brands. So who in the brands? Is it the brand president, the marketing officer, or is it the agency that produces the thing? Right? Like who is that person?
Mhm.
Not the organization. Very often, that's one very early mistake people think, especially in a B2B scenario, is I sell to LGUs, I sell to businesses, we sell to SMEs. No, you don't. You sell to somebody in that organization.
Correct.
Right? And that person needs to agree. If you figure out their goals, if you figure out their problems and their lives, and then position your product as a solution to their problems or goals,
Mhm.
then you are very close to getting approved.
Yeah.
But if you're selling to their business,
Mhm.
and then you talk to this guy with him exactly knowing that you don't care for him, you're not gonna get approved,
Right.
right? So number one is empathy, and the only way to gain empathy is by figuring out the people,
Right.
right? So human centered. I'm big on design thinking.
There you go.
So empathy and people first. But I think it makes business sense as well, to be honest. In classical, our mistake was we built for the schools because our assumption is enrollment sucks for them. People line up,
Yeah.
diba? All these viral
Mm.
pictures at the time.
PUP.
Right.
There you go.
And then but when we met with the schools, they eventually, the president, and we had connections, right? So sometimes we'd get meetings with the president and the VP, and they'd even call a whole mini event.
So what happens when you do a mini event with a VP and the president of the school?
They'll hand us over to the registrar, to the registrar team.
So you're already at the top, then you get rerouted.
Because they're the ones that are going to use it.
Yeah.
Right? So they want, all right, registrar team, go assess this product that we are endorsing to you. Speak to the registrar's team. They say, when we sign up, does that mean we lose our jobs?
Yeah.
And we go, oh, of course not. You'll do high value work. Nobody signs up.
Shit. Yeah, of course they're threatened by it.
Because they're threatened by it, and we weren't thinking about the people using it. We were just thinking organization, like schools need it. In hindsight, schools didn't need it. The parents and the students needed it.
Got it.
Because nobody lines up. I mean, people are lining up to pay you. Why will you change things?
Got it.
So my point being here is, if you understand the people that you want to sell to, you'll be able to figure out what to sell. And the likelihood of your original idea being the idea that's gonna be the success story in the future, it's probably not as well. So it's gonna change, and that's okay.
Yeah. That's fine. And you that's the thing about startups. It's a constant search and experimentation to validate your assumption. All of your, whatever you're starting with, those are all just assumptions at start. It's not your business. It's not your product. These are all just assumptions, right? And I'll just double down on something on the marketplace. The reason why I said marketplace, because I've seen this so many times. Marketplace, marketplace for X, marketplace for Y. Matter of fact, my very first startup was a marketplace.
It's super hard to start a marketplace.
No, because it's double-sided.
Yeah, right. So you're fundamentally creating two businesses.
Correct. And you need to dominate both. Okay? Especially if it's B2B to C or B2B to B2B and B2B C to C. That's the worst.
Right.
You need, I remember, I forgot where I got it. I think it's YC Startup School. If you're going to go multi-sided, one side should be an aggregator and the other side should be open-ended.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Where, for example, in Party File, it's multi-sided, but on the supply side, where the clubs, I aggregated. I literally went from club to club to club to club.
Who put you in our...
And got them in. That was the lure to get the masses. The C.
Correct.
That's the B and this is the C. The worst thing that you can do is make it both open-ended. And say, okay.
Who wants to sign up?
Sign up, everybody.
It's not going to happen.
Nah. Because you need to aggregate somewhere.
Yep.
And before you go to the marketplace model, you need to have an unfair advantage. It can be a form of connections.
Yeah.
Again, hustle, whatever. If you can aggregate a market and make it superly available, heck, in Podmetrics.
Okay.
Right? In again, for our first foray into the marketplace thing again. I had unfair advantage in the access to podcasts, the supply. I did that. Okay, boom. Got it done. Got 5,000, 7,000 users. Easy. But you need, in order for a marketplace to work, you need to have both sides work. And here's the kicker. You need to do that at scale.
Yeah.
Where there's a repeat interaction all the time. If they just did a one-night stand, you're fucked. So here's where we struggled. The advertisers, like what you said, only came
Q3
sporadically. If they even came at all.
Okay.
Right? So it's hard. Those are the mistakes that people I've seen make. And whenever I see a marketplace idea being thrown, I go, uh-oh.
I think it's because, and very similar to wanting to build an app. Especially if you're new, you see the app and you're like, wow, all I need to do is build an app.
Now, wait. It's all super apps now. Sorry.
Right. So all I need to do is build a super app.
Yes.
It's a messenger. You can pay. You can shop. You can find everything.
No.
Right.
Only multisys can do that because if we have unfair advantage in building it for the government, that's the supply side. The demand, it will come because where else are you gonna go, right?
Also because you already have the connections. You're like, oh, what do you need? We need this. Here you go.
David
right?
Admiral is the freaking USEC. Right?
They've already established that connection. But if you're starting
and I've
from
done
scratch,
it before.
exactly. What they don't see, right? So, for example, using Multisys as an example, what they don't see is the journey that Multisys went through to get to the point that now they can just build it and show it, right? Yeah. And so kids, and when I say kids, by the way, I mean people new in the entrepreneurship and tech space.
It's not age relevant.
You're right. I've met a 50-year-old who's just getting into it. The kids these days, they think, all right, let's build an app. Let's build a marketplace, right? I got about $500,000. I'll hire a developer, and then we'll see what happens.
Ouch. I feel it because that's one of the first mistakes I did. Whatever life savings, I was like, okay, I'll build an app, no validation whatsoever.
Amen, brother. I did that with VC funding.
Ouch.
Hired a developer, hired another developer, paid ourselves the salaries, got an office, right? No sales. So kids, do sales. That's number one. Not the app, not the marketplace. It's how to make a sale. And again, step one is talk to the people that might buy your product. By the way, and when you talk to them, don't ask them for feedback. Just get to know them. You might even say, we're doing market research. Because you are.
Right.
But your intent is not to sell. Your intent is to empathize. But don't worry. Everything you capture, that is going to put you in a much better position to sell.
Correct. And don't wing it. Because most of the time, people always say it in getting feedback. Right? Oh, yeah, I did feedback. Who did you talk to?
My friends.
10 people. My mom. All
my
the people
teacher.
that just want to tell you what you want to hear. You need to talk to people who don't give a fuck, actually.
Yep.
You're actually selling when you're able to talk to someone who is your target market, whatever that is, but they're even at least investing time to listen to you.
The ultimate test is money. Are people giving you money? It doesn't care. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, 3 people, but people don't give money willy-nilly, right? So, but at the same time, it's gotta matter. Recently, I was speaking to a college student and he said, sir, I spoke to entrepreneurs. I asked them what they needed and then I asked them for how much they're willing to pay for it. What did he say? $1,000 a month. $1,000, mas mataas pa yung allowance mo. Your allowance is more than $1,000.
Right.
I don't think that entrepreneur understood what you were offering. So it's gotta matter as well. Obviously, at the start, you can offer a lot of discounts. But the act of them giving you money is now a really good indicator you're onto something.
Got it.
If they haven't given you money, another good indicator is, if you're just doing research. I like teaching my kids to do this thing called a problem interview. You're not really speaking too much about life in general, but like what part of your life sucks? Let's say podcast,
so open-ended.
Right? Yeah. So let's say podcast. You're a podcast producer. I would ask you tell me about the last time you ran a podcast. You produced your podcast episode. What sucks about it? What keeps you up at night? Right? And then what did you do? What have you done? What are you doing to try to solve that thing?
Got it.
What has worked? How much time did you spend? So you're just getting to know each other. Someday, I will write a book, or maybe it's a podcast. I'm going to call it Business is Courtship.
Yes.
And it's just, step one is getting to know each other. You don't have sex right away, right? You just talk.
Flirt.
Right? You flirt. Let's have coffee, maybe a meeting, a 1-hour meeting. After that, maybe we'll do a project. Right? Or maybe I'll ask you to help me out in a project and then we'll do bigger projects and later on we'll decide to have a contract that keeps us binded together.
Got it.
It's called a shareholders agreement.
There you go. But I want to do a deep dive on this because let's just call it what it is. Not everybody has the guts to even approach someone. Okay, so I want to get your best practices because it's easy to say, okay, don't do a slum book interview. Don't, because that's one of the worst things you can do. Oh, what do you like? By the scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, does this matter to you? I mean, yes, those things.
Sorry, just to clarify, ask people about their experiences, not about opinions.
Correct.
So what happened then versus what would you do if this happened?
No, correct. Because if you're already conditioning yourself to get the answers that you want,
leading them.
you're leading them. You're really not finding out the real problem.
Exactly.
And you're right. This takes a lot of time, but you don't want to lead them into bias, because if you lead them into bias, you're also kidding. You're already kidding the interviewee. And you as the interviewer, you're also kidding yourself. You're getting false data at the very start. We're talking about this when you do this in idea phase. You need to validate it.
Yep.
Right? Before you even create your MVP.
Let's say you've built the MVP already, and now you're like, oh no, I need to sell this thing. I don't know if it's worth being, if people are willing to pay for it. Then do the same thing. Talk to the people that might pay for it, but don't show your product. Just understand them first. And then you invite them. So that's your coffee. You invite them. Hey, you're cool. Let's watch a movie sometime.
Correct.
So that's your prototype. Showing your prototype or showing your MVP to them.
And the best asset you'll have as a founder, I don't care what stage you're at, is that relationship that you build with your user. Because again, it doesn't end.
That too.
It does not end. So from an idea phase, okay, you're talking to your user, and being able to just talk to them and persuade them to listen to you and build that connection, leaps bounds. And then another cohort of users comes through. This time you have an MVP.
Yeah.
They will change. They have a different set of things. Then you still build that relationship. Oh, you're trying to look for problem solution fit. The next phase.
Amen.
Do people care about it? You still need to be. It's a constant thing you need to do.
It's not a phase, correct?
No, you need to get better at it. And sorry, as a founder, I don't care if you're a CTO, CEO, whatever CEO you want to fucking call yourself. You need to talk to them. So, and then eventually, when you have data to back it up, then you'll see, is there feedback, bangga or accurate with your data?
Correct.
Right? Then you have a reference point. But that constant idea or way of talking to your users, the people, and when you say it's a user, a user is or a customer is someone who pays for your product.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So customers pay, users don't pay.
Correct.
At least for simplicity's sake. Some people say, bakit yung mga user na Tama na. Basta, customer pays. Right? Some people try to get into the weeds of it. That's not the point. The point here is talk to the people that pay.
Right. And also, talk to those people that are on the precipice.
Yeah.
That, okay, your users, how do you convert them into a paying customer?
Correct. Sorry, I mean to say prioritize those that pay first. I don't mean to say leave them alone, because you're going to end up with talking to people that won't pay anyway, and you want to get to know all of them, because later on you'll meet non-customers, but now you'll know who they are. Like you'll be able to see at the start of the conversation, oh, I know how this is going to end up, because I've spoken to 10 exactly the same people and none of them bought. So I'm not going to struggle myself with you anymore, sir, but I'm going to try to help you with whatever problem you have. It's just not my solution.
Exactly.
So that's number one for me, is get to know the people. The second one, so let's say we know them already. We understand their problems. We have a solution that kind of looks like we think it's the solution that they are going to pay for.
Right.
So we invite them again. Hey, remember that thing we spoke about that you had a problem with? I think I have something for you that you might want. So remember, guys, this is very manual.
Yeah.
The concept here,
things that don't scale.
Yeah, right. So read that, Paul Graham, and there's a whole bunch of videos on on that essay about doing things that don't scale. But the concept here is, if you want to hit 1 million users, you're going to need to do 100,000. You're going to need 10,000, 1,000. You're going to start with one.
Yeah.
And one of the major mistakes that we did is we got ready for 5,000 daily enrollments. We had 0. So that, right? So what we should have done was focus on getting that 1, 2, 3, and 10 enrollments. So, all right. So now we are in. We understand the problem. We kind of have a solution idea. We invite them again. Hey, let's talk. I have something for you. Yeah. So when you see each other, you introduce again. Remember that problem you were telling me. So I think this is gonna solve it for you. And then you show it. It might be a poster. It might be the actual product. Whatever it is, just show it. Tell them the benefits. and then throw the price right away. And then ask for feedback. And then shut up and ask for feedback.
Right.
Right. So for example, hey, remember you told me about that marketplace idea and how, it was so difficult to find advertisers, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So what we've developed is the Founders Coaching Program. Sorry, I'm selling this.
Oh.
Right. And this is not a workshop. It's 12 sessions over a year. It doesn't have a specific topic yet because founders have a series of problems.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in different times, and a lot of incubators and accelerators have very fixed agendas.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not what you need to learn.
Nope.
I'm not going to replace incubators or accelerators though. You still need that training, but when you're applying those things that you just learned from them, you're going to have questions, you're going to make mistakes.
Right.
I'm the guy to ask. So this program is $55K, but we are currently in our early adopter rate. Currently at $30K, there are only 5 seats left.
Wow. Okay. So as we're recording, so just reach out to him. I like that Swabi plug that you did.
Right. So, and actually that's the reason why we're here is because I've been actively selling my stuff. People in StartupPH, if you notice, sometimes si Carlo sobrang active, sometimes si Carlo hindi active.
Right.
Typically, I'm active first half of the year. That's because we don't have any corporate clients.
Yep.
But now I'm extending throughout the end of the year because, again, we want to focus on Founders Coaching Program.
Absolutely. And that's a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly grind.
Yep. So you want to make that pitch and then you shut up and say, what do you think? Right? So a couple of things that I did there. Number 1, I started with a problem.
Okay.
Number 2, I proposed my solution. I gave the price, but hey, bago pa lang to. This is new, early adopter, and it's a lot lower. Right? So that is an anchor price, and then hey, there's a discount. Remember at this point, because we're just testing an idea, the goal is not to profit. The goal is to see how much is Mr. Customer willing to pay for that problem that we've identified.
I'll add something into that.
Okay.
This is my secret sauce. Before I even talk to people that I think will be a good customer, I do the pre-work.
Yes.
Okay. Because before you even start talking to people, of course you're gonna have to talk to anyone, but of course at the start. But look for this specific archetype of people that you think have the problem that you're trying to solve. It's people that want to be first.
Yes.
They're driven by shit. I want to be the first guy who has this type of thing. Okay? Because most people are laggards or they don't want to be the guinea pig.
Right.
People that want to be the first guy and don't mind being the guinea pig. Because those people, when you get them on board, it's so much easier to get them to say, you reveal the price, you talk to them before. They're going to be willing to even talk to you because they want to be first.
Yeah.
Number 2, you do that. So you need to sift through them. Do these people care about being first? Now, how do you find that out? You do prep work, right? You
Check
ask
their
around.
Facebook profile.
Correct. Look at their LinkedIn. What the hell are they even talking about? Right?
Exactly.
Are they passionate about this thing that we're trying to do? And then most of the time, if you now do the pre-work, shoot your shot. Because here's the thing: once you start asking for that price, and you know they are the archetype that is most likely gonna bite, you'd probably close them.
Yep.
Right?
You just made me realize something.
Yeah.
My early adopters, so we have 13 people signed up, and then 2 of them of course, they're all founders. Right? And they all have that profile of, I'm willing to try the first thing.
Exactly. Because they care about being there. And there's I'll share this in the show notes in hustleshare.com. I forgot the specific thing, but it looks like a boa constrictor from the Little Prince.
Right.
In the very first early adopters and early movers, there's a massive ass chasm.
Yes.
Before you go from the very first archetypes, before you go into the vast majority.
It is the early adopters, and then the early majority.
There's a
But to
big
get
gap
there-
in between.
Exactly.
So target the first ones, and don't get disheartened when how come I plateaued, because that's a different thing you're gonna have to jump into when you're building a product. But start first and getting how many early adopters that you can get, because once you get them, okay, then you have something to build on. What you don't want, and is it correct when you when I say that you tried in Classico, you tried going for the early majority right away,
man.
and you glossed over
We're like,
the first one.
all we need to do is get a couple of major schools. When come enrollment day, boom, 5,000 per day. That was the idea. Now it's I want to get to my first 10,
Yes,
and then I'm gonna get to the 100, and then I'm gonna get to 1,000. So the first 10 is all manual. It's still manual now, but as we get to 100, like literally, I have no registration form. I have emails. I have a landing page, and then we get into, and then I'm booking a booking link. People book me, and then we talk. And then, are you game? Oh, sige, game. I'll send you an email, the invoice, the agreement, and then we're on.
That's it,
right? So, but now going to 100. My expectation is I'm going to bring live a learning management system, a little registration where people can access the content and all the conversations that we've had, right? So a little something. And then from 100 to 1,000, you build even more, more features. But so I'm very, right now, because I'm teaching the thing as well, I'm very hardcore making sure I'm practicing what I'm preaching.
Correct,
It wouldn't be right if at this stage, I go like, we're building a platform where founders can find everything.
Nope.
Right.
No, it's very personal at that point. All right, now let's take our first break, and when we come back, we will now discuss the other mistakes that people typically do, the mortal mistakes. And again, just going back to the basics, what do we typically gloss over? And just like what Carlo was saying, sales, persuasion, and whatnot, what are those things that will always stick around? And if you kind of gloss over them, you're going to be bound to make the same mistakes. But let's talk about that more after the break. Hey hustlers, are you tired of bank transfer fees and low interest rates on your savings? Say hello to GoTime Bank. GoTime Bank offers interest rates 50x higher than traditional banks. Enjoy this rate on your savings. No minimum amount, no deposit caps, and no tasks or missions to complete. With GoTime Bank, you can make quick and secure transfers to other banks with 3 bank transfers per week. Plus, earn Go Rewards points and redeem them as cash with a simple tap in the GoTime Bank app. Experience the next level of banking with GoTime Bank. Download the app now or visit www.gotime.com.ph to experience next level banking. It's GoTime! Hey hustlers, it's a brand new season and I have a brand new tool that will help you scale your startup properly as you grow your team and give them equity eventually. And if you want to have a record of ownership management, efficient equity workflow, and award grants digitally, Capita has you covered with CapMap. CapMap is designed to enable cap table and ESOP management, as well as digital share insurance for companies across South and Southeast Asia. Also, Capita provides ESOP advisory services for you to set up your plan and engage your employees through equity awards. And trust me, this is a boon because as you grow your team, you want to give their best people a piece of the company that they're hustling for. Investing shares and giving ESOP is not easy if you don't have a product like this. So please do check it out and sign up now at capita.com with a Q. Again, that's capita.com with a Q. And it's free for companies that have under 25 stakeholders. Get ready to experience the power of seamless equity workflow management today. And we're back in the break. We're still with Carlo Valencia, then told us his experience in creating Classico, why he decided to do StartupPH training, how all of these, again, people make the same mistakes over and over again. And I've seen this happen. It sucks kasi when you see, okay, that thing had legs.
Yeah.
Right? Or that thing had potential.
Could have been a good thing.
But you skipped over things, right? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you will fail as a startup founder. It's not just a problem solution bit. But again, if you can't even do this right now, good luck. Good luck with that. Because again, these things accumulate and they're cumulative down the road. If you gloss over this mistake and you didn't really correct them down the road, it will not just heal. It's gonna be there
Actually,
as a debt that you're gonna have to pay down the road. Because of course, we're not even talking about building a freaking team,
correct.
right?
That happens after.
Right?
Right.
But we're just talking about, okay, I have an idea. What do I do? So let's start as if, Carlo, we were a noob or a
Sure.
newbie that will come to you as, Carlo, I need help.
I have an idea, sir.
I have an idea, sir. Again,
Right.
walk me through the step by step. And let's identify, is this a mistake that you're bound to repeat down the road? And is this something that as a founder, you need to gloss over and forget about down the road? Or are you going to be bound to do this again, regardless of the stage?
Can I just I'm gonna answer it, but before I do that, I
Okay.
just want to shout out to Dato Banatao. One time I attended an event of he was a speaker,
Okay.
and then literally I was papasok pa lang ako, and then but I heard the host ask Dato, how would you solve traffic in Manila?
Mm.
And he didn't really answer it, but he goes, the flow theory, blah 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 blah, and I go, that guy answered the question with a theory. That's so smart. Like he's got frameworks for everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know if because of that, now I start thinking in frameworks, but I do
Okay.
think in frameworks now. So you have an idea. My first framework is who's your customer, meaning who's going to pay you and why are they going to pay you? Or also known as what problem are you solving for them?
Mhm.
Very often people are like, garbage, the environment. Yeah, what does that matter to the person?
Okay.
Right? So podcast network, right? Who's your customer and what problem are you solving?
Podcasters.
Podcasters. And then what problem?
It's hard to fucking do this shit if
Right.
you're alone.
Okay, so let's break that down, the hard to do that shit, right? So what exactly is hard and what are they losing or what are they spending? As
The
a
easiest part of the podcaster of doing this shit is this,
Actually,
This is the
I
most
discovered
fun.
that.
right? The hardest part is what happens after this,
Okay.
right? Which is editing. For us talking, probably you're going to take an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Mhm.
Multiply that by 4. That's how
Okay.
much time you need to do
Just
to
the
be able to do
editing.
that. Now, if you're having a full-time gig, good luck trying to do that. What time are you going to do? And it's not fun listening and cringing to your own voice, by the way. Making
Again and again and again.
making
Alright.
all the bulols and the dead airs in between, right? It's not fun. Second, people don't know how to freaking scale.
Okay.
Again, say like a startup, podcasts are the same. People, just because people think that, I'll record, people will listen. Nuh-uh,
Right.
right?
Actually.
No, so it's very similar. Are you even passionate about the thing that you're talking about, or just rambling on about shit you don't even know what you're talking about?
Right.
Third, how do you monetize? So just like a startup, are you gonna validate this? Is there someone willing to pay for
Yeah,
your
man.
content? Right. And number 4, how do you scale? Right.
All right.
So those are the problems. Why is it? Okay. So another thing that I want to do is this shit's personal to me. These are my problems that I've experienced that I want to solve for everybody else.
Fantastic. So a couple of things. It's good. So you're the customer.
Yep.
That's a good thing. But there's a potential problem there, which is you're gonna assume everything you go through is what other people go through.
Correct.
So what do we want to do is So how are you solving this?
We created a copied Kubo.
Right? Okay.
I copied Kubo and basically created an ecosystem where,
Like an incubator model.
incubator model to solve all of the above, technically.
All right. So the next question. So we know the customer, podcast producers. The problem is all these issues and pains about production. and
Podcast creators,
post-production.
actually, not
Podcast creators. And then the solution is an incubator.
Yep.
Yeah. What can we do in the next 2 weeks to test that idea? That's the next question.
Yeah, the thing that I did was before I created and I had money, we had funding, solved it ourselves, and then hopefully down the road, an advertiser will recoup whatever bet we did.
So look back to rewind to that time you're thinking about the idea. So you don't know anything yet.
Yeah.
Yep. You have some money. You have a network. You have your Hustleshare.
Yep.
What can we do in the next 2 weeks to test if this podcast network Asia idea
I'll
thing
talk to other podcasters.
Yeah.
Ask them.
to sign
Do
up?
you no. Do you have the problems first?
All right. So tell me about your problems. Yeah.
Right? Do you care about this and do you want to help solve it? Because I had the same, and I'll tell them, hey, here's how I solved those problems for myself.
Right.
I want to help you solve that too. So
Fantastic.
my approach was, hey, do you have this problem? If I'm gonna go to you and say, okay, you have a problem, thank you. Whereas I already solved it for me.
Mhm.
I ticked all those boxes. And my only conversation was, yo, I already solved it. Do you wanna join me and I'll solve it for you
Right.
too?
So and what are you offering for that? Did you have an offer yet?
Yeah, just sign up and then I'll help you monetize. Whatever you monetize,
20%.
I'll do. But now in hindsight, you know what would have done? Sign up, pay me.
And then
I'll
we'll
solve it for you.
monetize. Right. That's what you're doing now with
Yes, with
Podcast Machine. Pod Machine. So but let's again rewind. So talk to within 2 weeks, you could probably speak to, let's say, 10 podcast creators.
Yep.
Of these 10, how many do you think will say yes?
5.
5. So let's
Actually,
do 6.
I went 100%
on
our shit
at this
the
time.
First 5, yeah.
So let's do 6. By the way, if you do this is what we're doing is we're designing an experiment that if I talk to 10 podcast creators, 6 will say yes to my offer. And then you do that for 2 weeks.
So it's a pipeline.
Right. And it's a limited pipeline. It's a limited set of activities. You're not making a commitment. All right, we're building this marketplace. We're building this new Kubo. We're just thinking, in the next 2 weeks,
Talk to people first.
let's talk to people first. So now people signed up, right? 10 people, let's say 6 out of 10 was the goal. 10 out of 10 signed up.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Next is, let's see, can we provide a great experience for this 10 people? Manually. Right? Because the beauty about that is that you're not tied to a solution yet. And you're doing the thing as you know, right? Maybe a little bit inefficient, but you're only working with 10 people.
Yeah. Concierge it. That's what they call it.
Yep.
Right.
That's your minimum viable product. People from StartupPH, the content I produce, aminin ko na, that's a little bit of a rant. And I convert
He
it
was
into
angry that day.
into a value post, right?
Yeah.
So I convert it into a positive statement. But one of the things I see a lot is we're building our MVP. I'm looking for a developer to build your MVP. Then that's not an MVP.
No.
The moment,
That's an assumption turned
Right.
into a software.
right? So actually, I like that. That's assumption that you turned into a software.
Yep.
So when you're building an MVP, it's no code or it's low code. It's WordPress at the most, maybe with a little sign up page.
Yep.
But if you need a developer, you are now in product building mode, right?
That shit's expensive.
Yeah, I recommend that is 100 or 1,000 customers and beyond.
Correct.
Under 1,000, there's a lot of things. Bubble.io
Correct.
is another thing, right? So 2 weeks, you do that, they sign up. Another 2 weeks, all right, let's onboard them, right? Let's see, are we able to create a great experience? And then after 2 weeks, let's just say, of the 10, only 4 were onboarded. The other 6, for some reason or the other, they were busy. They didn't, whatever. All right, let's analyze that. That's a fail. Congratulations. What happened? You might find that, okay, turns out these 6 people that didn't show up for the onboarding are the people that you offered free. And then the 4 are the ones that paid, and they're the ones that are running after you. All right, new rule. No more free.
Right.
Right? So that's generally what you want to do from a sales perspective and from a validation perspective. Ultimately, if you're not able to make the sale, then the startup is not something you should be pursuing.
You don't have a business. You don't have
Exactly,
a product.
exactly.
The ultimate validation over if this is something that not how many partnerships, how many MOAs you signed, how many people that sign up, how many people pay.
Yep.
Right? Because
Yep.
at the end of the day, that should scale along with your growth. And again, this process that you just described right now, whether you're at 0 to 1
Exactly.
or at 1 to 10, 1 to 100, as long as you're validating something new, this is something that you have to do every single time. The only difference is the scale and who you're doing with, or do you have people to delegate it to na to do it for you?
You could do this at, $1 million to 10 million, but this time you're thinking about growth ideas.
Correct.
And then you can do the same principle, which is, for example, now you're at the marketplace level. For example, we're at marketplace, thousands of podcasters and thousands of advertisers. And now we're thinking, maybe if we build like a CRM thing, something people, same thing, like talk to 10 people and, hey, how are you handling your customers?
Experiment. And then at the end of the day, there's only two results there.
Yeah.
Right? The two P's. Is it pivot?
Or pivot or persevere. Yeah.
That's it. Pivot is if your hypothesis that you thought, again, a hypothesis, not an assumption.
Yeah.
A hypothesis, you're creating that if this happens, then that will happen. If it's valid, you have a desired target amount. And if you're able to validate that, great, persist. You've passed the test that you put onto yourself.
Just to correct, if we do this, then that will happen.
Correct.
And if that happens, keep doing this.
But there needs to be a minimum success criteria.
Correct.
You can say, okay, I'll talk to 10. And you say, all right, before you even start talking to motherfuckers out there, right? You're just going to say, okay, I need to get 6 out of 10 to say this desired result. If you didn't hit that,
what do we do?
You then pivot. What are the things we change up? And then you do it again. Talk to another 10 sets of people and whatnot.
So the beauty about talking to customers at the start and focusing on their problems is you're focused on their problems and then the customer, and then it turns out they don't have the problems that you thought.
Yeah.
You could now change the problems. So you update your assumption. Turns out it's not problem X, it's problem Y. Turns out it's not production. That's the issue. It's marketing.
Correct.
For example, right? Okay. So now maybe the solution is going to be different. Maybe the offer is going to be different. Or maybe the pricing is going to be different. So all those are pivots. But again, because you haven't fixed on anything yet, then it's easy to make these changes. And that's another reason why you don't want to build the product yet.
Right.
I've had a startup founder tell me, oh, we can't do that. Why? Because my system doesn't allow me. Then throw your system out because your customers need something else. Right? Your goal is not to feed people into the system. Your goal is for your software to help the people.
And guys, I just want to remind you, I don't care what stage you are, right? As a founder, the very enemy that you have is your ego. Okay? The amount of time or the amount of things you tell yourself you won't do because you think you're too good for it is the amount of handicaps that you put on your startup because you yourself are not willing to do it. Amen. As a founder, it's your responsibility to pave the way because you can't tell your team to jump out of the ship if you yourself won't do it.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you cannot delegate validation. You can delegate some thing. Market research maybe, but ultimately you're going to make the sale. Correct. The first sale. If you are getting into entrepreneurship thinking, I don't want to do sales, then don't get into entrepreneurship. You're literally selling everything. You're selling your company to your investors. You're selling your company to the people you're recruiting. You're selling your product. Yep. You need to even sometimes sell it to your relatives and friends to justify what you're doing is the right thing. Right.
And you have to sell it to yourself that you're the motherfucker who can actually get this done.
Exactly. But if you're thinking, I'm just going to build out my business, it's not going to work. Yes, I made a post recently, pretty controversial about, if you want to be a founder, don't be a dev. You're like, oh!
Hala.
Diba? I'm not saying if you're a dev, you cannot be a founder. I'm saying if you are a dev and you want to be a founder, you need to start thinking like a founder. Yep. But if you keep insisting, no, I'm just going to code this out, then you're still a dev. Right?
Or it's actually not zero sum. You can surround yourself with the right thing. That's where we now come through later when we're talking team building. Because someone needs to be in charge of this thing that we're doing.
Yep.
Founder level set. If you want to be the founder and sometimes you want to call yourself CEO, go ahead. Call yourself CEO, but you got to do this shit. Okay. So after this, you have this framework thing that you're going to be doing. Okay. What's the next step?
So we review the results. So it's build, measure, learn essentially of Eric
Lean
Ries,
startup.
right? Yeah, so you build an experiment, you run it, you measure the results, and then you learn.
Yeah.
So now we're learning, let's say, so we're typically actually the first experiment will fail.
Yeah.
That's okay. And I feel like half of the value I provide is when we're talking to founders and I'm just telling them, congratulations, that's part of the process.
Correct.
Right? And
Welcome to startup life.
Let's move on.
Yep.
Some people take months to go through that, to accept now, oh no, my assumption was wrong. We're going to go through it in a couple of weeks or sometimes even in a week. Or we'll tweak these assumptions and refine it to the point that it's now commercial.
And the faster you go through these cycles, the better it is for you.
Amen.
If you freaking drag your feet, good luck. Right?
So one of the things we recommend as well is we run a retrospective. Internally, as a team, how did we function? What did we do right? What did we do wrong? And what can we do to fix it? Because if you're a startup, chances are you guys are working together for the first time. Or a lot of you are working for the first time together. So you want to refine that as well. So very agile.
Yep.
Shout out to GN, by the way. The reason why I know agile and the reason I'm super generous is one time I made a post on StartupPH. I was that annoying founder. I said, I'm a funded founder. I need to learn agile. And then he goes, bro, just come over to the office. He said, I will have coffee. I'll tell you about it. He did not know me from Jack at the time. That's how I met him.
That's why, again, he's blessed. He's now a finisher. Right?
So I came to their office and then showed me agile, et cetera, et cetera. And as, ever since then, when people ask me, I'm constantly thinking about GN.
Yeah,
and thinking like, if dude, he had like more than already at the time, and then he said, all right, and then here's what we do. Here's the sprint board. Here's the backlog. That's
how you know they're legit. If they're willing to pay it forward for nothing.
So he taught me also retro, or at least introduced me to the whole concept of a retrospective. So so that's what you want to do. And then what's the next experiment? So let's say only 4 signed up, 6 people, 4 onboarded from our experiment. 6, for whatever reason, gave different reasons to not get onboarded. And our finding is all 4 paid. The 6 people that abandoned did not pay. So our next idea is, all right, let's do everybody pays.
Wow.
That's the next experiment. Right? So I'm oversimplifying things. But the concept, you're gonna find it regardless of your situation. Like what worked then, what didn't work. What are we gonna do next?
Got it.
That's all you need to figure out. And then what we're gonna do next is gonna be guided on what happened.
On your last experiment.
This last experiment totally screwed up. Okay, maybe we should change the customer, or maybe we should totally change customer end problem. Or the last experiment kind of screwed up, but there was this one guy super adamant, ready to pay practically through the money. All right, maybe the next experiment, let's look for more people like him. All right, and abandon everybody else that we spoke to. Because sometimes you might be thinking, all right, podcast creators, with in Asia or in the Philippines, that's your market. And then you speak to one guy, but he's actually from Thailand, and then it's he's got this. Turns out he's the ideal customer. The next experiment might be, let's just do Thailand podcasters.
Right? That's exactly what happened to us. So that same value proposition of us charging for all the amazing things that we do, it's not going to be coming from here.
Right.
It's in the US.
Okay.
That's why I always go to the US every once in a while, because the podcasters here are just not going to pay. My market, my biggest TAM is in the US.
People in the US.
Correct.
I love it. Right. But you had to go through the Philippine market first. And
I tried everything that I can.
Figure things out.
And nobody fucking paying for this shit. Asians by default are just frugal. They'll DIY it out. There's nothing wrong with that. But my value prop doesn't mean that, okay, if I keep selling here and keep doing the same mistake over and over again and expecting different result, then I'm insane, right?
Correct.
I knew this was something that people are going to be willing for, but it's going to come from a first world country, not here, right? So, okay, after you do this, I'll jump into the next thing, because I'm pretty sure people are thinking like, okay, I'll do that, blah, blah, blah. There's still going to be people that are in experiments, whatever. When do I jump into team building And when do I jump into the next? Oh, I need to raise funds.
Okay.
Because people are super giddy to just get to
Yeah.
that phase all of a sudden.
I wouldn't even worry about team building just yet. I mean, if you need team building, you don't need to talk to me now. Like that means you have people, and you're theoretically you're making enough money to pay for the people you're hiring. And if you're able,
and also team building can be in the form of, guys, don't hire people yet if you can. The best sale and the most important sale.
To create a team, you mean?
Yeah, create a team that you need to do is you need to look for co-founders.
You
need to persuade someone who's equally as passionate or someone who's not even passionate about what you're trying to build and jump in the cliff with you.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going through that right now, actually. So I'm a solo founder now, right? My co-founders have started their own thing.
Yep.
So I'm kind of courting. So I feel like, so again, business is courtship. So I have a couple of people in my eyes that I think would be a great co-founder. And again, business is courtship. So I've told them like, hey, I'm kind of eyeing you, but at the same time, I know I can't afford you right now.
That's it. That's the ultimate sale. Because if you can convince someone to jump with you, without compensation, and they just like, bro, let's just work on this. Right?
That is ideal. I mean, if you have like old friends or in your 20s, that's why starting a startup younger is so much easier. In your 40s, so my ex-co-founder in Classical, he's now like a solutions architect kind of thing. And I told him one time, like, what would it take for you to jump ship? Because I asked him that in Classical. And back then he said 40K. Now he said 200K.
Ouch.
Right? And I'm like, well, noted. That's a good bar to hit. Because for me also, because he's a dev IT product guy, and I don't think it would be practical for me for emotional reasons just to hire him at 200K because I like him so much. I need to build the business to that point that I now need a 200K product guy.
And here's the thing. If you cannot convince someone to leave the comfort of their paycheck right now, to jump ship with you, and almost all the time as a co-founder, you're going to be asked to take a pay cut. None of us in doing startups are paying what our market rate, if we're going to be employed, are being paid our market rate if we're going to be employed. But that's the price you pay for freedom and calling your own shots.
Amen, brother.
But, at the end of the day, you need to be able to convince someone that, Carlo, you're super comfortable right now. You're making X amount. You're having a paycheck of your life. You're set. But join me. Let's solve this fucking problem. If you cannot make that sale in team building, that team building meaning you
team
need
creation,
to have a co-founder, everything else is going to be super hard. Because if nobody in this climate invests in solo founders, those are anomalies. Right? You need to be able to convince someone to carry the load with you, risk it all with you, so that you can do this together. Because there's nobody in this freaking ecosystem that can do everything from code. You need to surround yourself with people that cover you for your weakness. Right? So in that said, right, when you have that thing, then you can now consider building a pitch deck. Because the weakest thing you can put there is, I have an idea. Look at the team slide. I'm alone.
It's just me. True that.
Right? Because again, at that point, when you're pitching, there's only 3 T's that people care about. And an idea phase, pre-seed stage. Team, TAM, traction.
Very nice.
Right?
So I got some traction. I have no idea what my TAM is, but I like to think the BS entrepreneurship market is part of the TAM, right?
That's huge.
And then team. Now that's my current weakness. I've been trying to build a team since last year, not very successfully. And
it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Earlier this year, the strategy, at least the idea was, I'm gonna get junior people and I'll train them up.
Yeah.
That didn't work out, so I had to let them go and decided to be a solo founder for a while.
Yeah.
And what I've found now is because I'm not managing people, I'm moving super fast.
Yes.
I don't need weekly meetings or one-on-ones. I mean, not that I don't enjoy that, but when you're in stage 1, going from 0 to 1 to 10 customers,
Correct.
you don't need the team so much.
No.
Right? You need to really customer first is what I like to say.
And there's no rush. I have to get out of this phase. I'm a failure because I'm just so what? Again, you define your path.
Yep.
Right? If you think you're doing well, then stay on the lane and then wait for the right timing. Don't get FOMO'd by, oh my God, GN is already freaking blah blah blah. I mean that's true. That will come through, especially if you see your batchmates killing it.
I admit I actually intentionally didn't read about your fundraise and your exit because I stay away from that because it does give me that FOMO.
Yeah.
But I read headlines. And you need to remind yourself that they're each to his own path, right? Francis Imisim said that recently. There's no right or wrong. They're just journeys.
Correct.
God damn, that is so deep. That's why I like talking to you. So he's kind of like my coach.
Yeah.
And
also taller than you. You're already a tall guy.
That too. Right. So I think that's why we like talking to each other. Where are we? So creating a team, for me, that's one of the things I want to achieve at the 10 to 100 level. So creating a team, creating a bit of an MVP, a repository where everything is that the participants need. These are the things. And of course, a pitch deck. I've actually reached out to... I'm sure Ray will appreciate this. So Forgives, Ray Refundo is a co-founder. They do business loans, but financing and small amounts, not millions, right? Of course, you need to prove your viability, which I've been able to do. So I'm thinking from 10 to 100, it's just going to be a financing loan, maybe $500,000, $1 million, maybe even less. At 100, assuming 40K, so that's about 4 million revenue. Yeah. Then we're recruiting. Then, full-time people. Then we're building a platform to hit 1,000. Correct. Then we're raising.
It's one of the mistakes that you can easily do that will cost the death of your startup is scaling your team too early.
Amen. A dozen.
Yep.
A dozen people signing off about $500,000 worth of checks each month with zero revenue.
Oh my God. And I have a 20-man team na. Woo, your burn is...
Right. It is not... I was proud of it at the time.
Yeah.
Except the times when I'm signed in the checks.
Like, ouch.
Right.
Payroll. Ouch.
Sorry, investor. This is a bet. That's what I was thinking. This is a bet that if it works, we're able to accelerate really fast.
No.
But
most of the time it doesn't.
It doesn't work out. Correct.
Right. So stay lean, stay frugal. Run it like a normal business.
Yeah.
Make your scale with the right metrics in mind, not vanity metrics. Because most of the time, people will be like, let's scale up. I think I have X amount of users now. And look, how much are your customers?
Actually,
5%.
Yeah, you were asking me earlier about when should we raise, right? So I'm thinking to hit 100, I'm not going to raise. I'm going to borrow some money and then pay it back. And then to hit 1,000, then we're going to start looking at some raising.
Yeah.
That's going to be next year. And that's generally how you want to see fundraising, as to hit certain milestones to grow. Not for survival. No, I'm spending. I don't have money to pay for my team. I need to raise, or else we're gonna close down. That is the worst reason you want to raise money.
Yeah,
and to avoid that, again, sell first, right? Customer first.
The best way to raise is through revenue. And the best way to scale is through profit.
Yep.
And now let's take our last break. And when we come back, we will now talk about the rest of Carlo's framework and how he does his StartupPH training. And also, he will give us his founders only top 5 powered by Shoppable Business. Again, always the best B2B marketplace in getting your stuff. Again, you built the studio with them. But let's talk about that more after the break.
Hey hustlers, PayMongo is your payment gateway for business growth.
With PayMongo, you can accept online payments from your customers through Visa and MasterCard, debit and credit cards, GCash, Maya, GrabPay, online banking, BNPL, installments, and many more. All with just one platform. For business owners, online payment collection used to be such a pain. Long negotiations and paperwork, complex developer docs, and having to gather all these proofs of payment from your customers would be a serious drag in your operations. Now, with just one partner, you can simplify all of that and focus on growing your business. PayMongo's story showcases the resilience of Filipino businesses in today's digital economy. During the pandemic, they became a lifeline to countless businesses by helping them go online quickly, serve their customers, and generate revenue. They have since grown exponentially and now support thousands of businesses from SMEs to venture-backed startups and even the most established enterprises in the country. PayMongo's products allow you to accept all types of payments with or without a website, and they continue to expand into more streamlined financial services. So sign up for free today. Visit paymongo.com to get your business activated in 1 week or less. Hey hustlers, I know how difficult it is to do fundraising at the moment for any startup or any business. And especially given this market where investors are afraid to write any significant check that would help your startup either scale or extend your runway, your options are very, very limited. But don't worry, I think I found a solution that just might help. So if you're seeking capital for your sari-sari store, online business, restaurant, or startup, SeekCap's got you with a 24/7 fast and easy online loan application process, minimal paperwork, and real-time updates. Say goodbye to long lines and long waits with SeekCap. UBX Philippines' online lending marketplace for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Choose from a wide variety of loan products from 5,000 pesos up to 1 million pesos from trusted lenders. With SeekCap, you can apply for a business loan that's tailored to your needs, whether it's for capital, production, operations, or expansion. And check this out. You can apply anytime, anywhere in the Philippines. So what are you waiting for? Sign up at www.seekcap.ph. That's www.seekcap.ph and apply for a loan now. And we're back to the break. We are still with Carlo Valencia of StartupPH training and then told us framework. And again, a really good conversation of what happens and the early mistakes that, again, we gloss over all the time. And just because we've done it before, we don't have to do it again. We always have to do fundamentals. Just like Tim Duncan, stick to the freaking fundamentals, right? Always do it on repeat because if you master it, it's just a go-to move that happens. So again, validating.
True that.
Scaling, persuasion, creating a good team. Empathy. These are the things that will always come in handy as a startup founder. But let's talk about raising real quick, bro. Because again, you've seen this happen all the time. People always think that, raising is the game.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's not. Right? I wish I have enough revenue to fuel my fucking growth right now. But, I'm forced to be in this game because I already popped that cherry. And once you take that fundraising game,
it's not a one-time thing.
There's no way out. You have to keep doing it. Right? But it's a choice I have to make. That's always been my shtick as we were chasing growth. And then somehow, some way along the way, it's like realize, shit, okay, we can actually make this a sustainable business. Right? And still have the growth, just not as extreme.
Yeah.
Right? What's your best story that you can think of in sharing if founders even still really need to raise at all?
Yeah. Well, the best situation is you don't need to fundraise, obviously. There was a survey of college students, I think, or TBI graduates, and then why didn't you start a business? The question was something like that. And then a lot of them answered, I don't have money, I don't have capital, I don't have a mentor, right? So this notion of I need funding to start. First of all, we need to we need to stop believing that.
There are people that are blessed with it because they had pedigree.
Yeah.
Being a good founder before, being a hotshot employee in a certain startup.
Yep.
People throw at it, and that's not their fault. If that's their fucking could it take it?
Makes things easier for them, doesn't make things impossible for you. Right? If you really wanted it, then go do it. Right? And then stop looking at other people.
Exactly.
So that being said, so you don't need funding. But let's say one more thing. If you fundraise to a venture capitalist, they expect 10x, 100x growth because you're going to pay for all the other losses.
Yep. And you're one of those bets.
Yep. And if you cannot prove 100x growth confidently, you're not going to make it. Or, well, maybe you can do government grants and stuff, but not venture capitalists. No. Right. So that's the approach. And that's why what Ron was mentioning earlier is he popped that cherry. And so if you pop that cherry, you're going from one round to the other with that trajectory.
That gun is in your head forever, on your head forever now.
Unless, there's another exit, which is sustainable growth and profitable growth, right?
But VCs don't get excited by that.
Exactly, right? They're not looking for dividends.
No. They want a 10x minimum.
So when you're thinking about fundraising, I know this is difficult, especially because a lot of people thinking about fundraising now. They don't have, they're like, I need money. To those people, I say, make a sale.
Got it.
Right? It's what I'm going to say is not going to make you a better pitcher.
Yeah.
That, right? So if you need money to survive, you need to make sales or you need to borrow money. But looking for an investor, an angel to help to save you, it's not going to happen.
There's no white knight. You are the white knight.
Admittedly, I had that for sure, but that was a fluke. Yeah. That is not something you want to throw the dice on, right? Because this is your life. So that being said, now let's say you're a startup founder. You're making some money. You're making the sale, right? And you're thinking now, all right, this one, 100,000 a month, I want to hit 10 million a month or 1 million a month. That's when you should raise, right? That's when you should start thinking about raising. It's because now, you know what? This thing that's working, I'm putting $10,000 a month on Facebook ads, for example. If I do $100,000 a month, it's just going to 10x my revenue. Correct. But I need also fulfillment and blah, blah, blah. So I need to raise. That is the perfect time to raise.
Right. However, there are instances, we're not throwing away the dev technology here, all right, the dev community here. There are certain businesses that I've seen, business model, like ChatGPT.
Okay.
Right. I mean, there's nobody that's created ChatGPT type of product here in the Philippines. But I'm just saying, deep tech products.
Oh, yeah. This is not for deep tech. My advice is Philippine context.
Philippine context. Most of the time, the business models here is a marketplace.
Yep.
What else? B2B2C, freemium.
Services.
SaaS.
Right.
Services. These are the common things here.
Correct. So if you're doing deep tech, Web3.
Go ahead, raise.
Right. Go. My advice might not be relevant or the same. Although still fundamentally, you need to make a sale.
Correct.
Even if you're doing Web3.
But the reason why people need to fundraise for that is because and also when you are raising and you've already done that process that you just literally said, you're raising to have enough funds to do these things, to grow. And growth also means, number 2, you want to hire better talent.
Yep. And that's part of growth. Right.
And that's expensive. Good talent is expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And third, again, you want to have a longer runway so you can just completely just keep growing that thing. It's called the problem solution fit. It's not yet product market fit. People always mistake that, I have product market fit. No, you don't. Right.
I've seen people claim product market fit based on a Google search. Look, it worked in the States. It's going to work here. And that's not how it works.
Nope. Again, I always say it. The analogy that I like using is the analogy of Justin Khan, Twitch, of Goat Capital. He says that product market fit feels like you're drinking off of a fire hose.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
There's just so much demand that you can't keep up anymore.
Yep.
Right? So I don't know what that context is like in your business, but you have product market fit when you just don't have enough
to
cover the demand.
That's the best time to raise money.
Correct.
Because you got so much demand, all you need to do is supply it.
Mm.
Right? So yeah, so there are different situations to raise, that's for sure. What I'm proposing are, starting from scratch. When should you be thinking about fundraising? A couple of other things as well. For example, ChatGPT is with Sam Altman and YC. So, man, that dude can probably just go up to a VC office and say, I need 100 million, and he'll get the check.
Correct.
Zero idea.
Yeah.
So,
well, because he has pedigree.
Right. We are not Sam Altman. We are simple founders in the Philippines. So, starting from scratch, you need to make the sale, and then you need to show provable
traction
and and a path to scale.
Correct.
Right? So let's say you're there now. You're at 100, you want to hit 1,000, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the demand is there. The next thing you want to be thinking about is not who has the money, but what kind of people do I want to work with, right? Because it's not just the money.
Yep.
Definitely not just the money. And if you take just the money approach, you're going to get people who are just about the money.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why
get rid of them once they're in your cap table.
The people that have been in this couch are people that we've regarded as good people.
Yeah.
Right? And you just see it sometimes, actually, when you talk to investors. So if you're at that stage, first of all, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, be very picky.
Yeah.
Because they're going to literally be like your wife. You will have a document that requires you to work things out.
Yep.
Kind of like your co-founder, less interactions, but you are in a contract.
Correct.
Right? And they own part of your company, and their goal is now to make you grow as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes their goal is also to consume the money that they need to invest in.
Correct.
Because some of their goals might be contradictory to yours. Because sometimes too much money for you is too bad as well.
Yeah.
Right. So the mindset essentially you want to be thinking about here is, I like to call the hot chick mindset.
Okay.
So I'm from Don Bosco.
Okay.
Don Bosco is an all-boys school. And whenever, imagine 3,000 something kids, all boys, right?
Testosterone-filled school.
So when girls come in, there are, visitors, soiree, event, fair, whatever, or dance, man, tension is palpable in the air.
Yep.
And we're like, so I'm fixing my shirt. I have a line ready just in case they bump into me, right? Fast forward to I'm a startup founder. I'm pitching for Classico, and I'm just pitching. And every time I'm in an event and I find out there's an investor in the room, I'm fixing my shirt. We're getting ready with my line just in case, because I remember Paul Rivera telling about this story, how he pitched Dave McClure in the washroom. So I have that line ready as well. I can't remember if Dave McClure.
Was it him?
But Paul Rivera pitched somebody in the bathroom.
Because people were saying Dave McClure during Goab.
Right.
Said that, somebody pitched him.
That might have been Paul Rivera.
And people were telling me, was that Chiron? Like, no, I'm not that creep, bro. Like, I pitch you in the club while we're playing in the club, but nah.
So
Paul pala.
maybe after all these years we'll find out.
Wow.
I heard it because I heard Paul telling a story about always be closing, always be pitching, right? So one time he saw an investor in the washroom, and so he gave his 1 minute elevator pitch there. Booked a call, or booked at the time a meeting. Sorry. So fast forward to coming back to the story. Whenever I know an investor is in the space, or in wherever I'm in, I'm fixing my shirt. I'm feeling exactly the same thing as I'm feeling when I was in Don Bosco in an all-boys school. And then I realized, in that kind of setting, I, the founder, I'm the boy in the all-boys school. Like, I'm one of the thousands of people wanting a glimpse, hoping for their attention.
Yeah.
Right? But all these hot chick investors, they're not interested in me. All they're looking for is founders with revenue, founders with provable growth, right? With a team and, all this traction, profit.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any of that. They weren't interested in me.
Yeah.
So fast forward to about 2018, 2019, and I was talking to a female founder, and she was telling me about her startup and should I be raising, should I not be raising? And I asked her, like, how much are you making? Last month, sir, we made 800K. Wow. Do you need the money? I said, why are you raising? No, actually, sir, we don't need the money, but so many investors are coming to us. We're in an event and, people are offering us money.
Right.
And I realized then, wow, in that situation, Miss Founder at the time, who was profitable, provable growth, had an entire community. She was the hot chick. The investors were the boys.
Yeah.
And now she could choose. So I said, number one, don't say yes to anybody. Just keep collecting all the offers. Also, I think she made a crazy valuation, like $1 million. But she was obviously way more than that by the time.
Yeah.
But I said, so in this situation, you're the hot chick. You are not the boys trying to court the investor. The investor are the boys. And so you want to get to that point.
Got it.
You don't need to be super profitable, super revenue, super growth. But you need to show that, you know what? I'm doing this. If you give me some money, we go.
Yeah.
And then that's where the magic happens, I suppose.
Got it. All right. That's amazing. All right. Now, before we wrap this baby up, again, you've been an OG in the industry and whatnot, and you've seen again who's legit and who's not. We need to give flowers to our peers because you're now going to give the top 5 founders presented by Shoppable Business here in Founders Only. And again, there's certain rules.
Right.
You cannot choose yourself. You cannot choose me because that's bullshit. All right. I know where I'm at, right? I'm not in top 5. I don't know where I'm at. But again, you don't need to bola me at all, right?
Yeah.
So in your opinion, bro, who are your top 5 founders in your list?
You know what? I'm going to rephrase maybe my favorite founders.
Okay,
favorite 5. I don't know if they're
5.
like their best.
I just like using top 5.
Top 5,
it works
right?
on YouTube.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
So my top 5 favorite founders.
First.
Not so much a founder, but an instrumental part of this startup community is Shoemate.
Shoemate Royo of DevCon.
Yeah.
Why Shoemate?
Well, she started DevCon, right? Was in the community she's built as well, and the things that I've seen her do as well is something.
Dude, the dev pipeline in the Philippines comes from that.
Right.
Okay?
So
if you need engineers, that's where you go. That's where you go.
Which is so the whole community building thing. I think is genius. It's something I aspire for.
Yeah.
And then so number 2, also community is MK Bertulfo.
Shout out, Mommy MK.
Yeah, FH Moms, right? So
she's my batchmate in the final pitch.
She wanted to, she was scratching her own itch. She found work from home. She found out people wanted to work from home, so she taught people how to work from home, find jobs.
By the way, I'll have her on Hustleshare. So by the time this is out, just watch a couple of episodes after she'll be in Hustleshare soon. Okay.
So that was great. Also, she focused on community building super long. Something I wish I could do. Yeah. And then when she turned on the revenue, boom, right? So GN, of course. GN Dalarama. I was
sure.
I was like I mentioned, he helped me out, not knowing who I was, just a guy that posted on StartupPH. But also because, man, the whole chatbot and AI thing, that is something even I sometimes didn't really fully understand, but he kept at it and, he found the business.
I survived through the freaking, because I exited high when it was first wave.
Yeah.
Then it became shitty. Nobody cared about it. And then he lived through that.
Exactly.
And then when ChatGPT popped, boom.
So he went through the chasm.
Yeah.
A couple of times, if you think about it.
Yep.
So that deserves respect as well, for sure.
A 10-year grind, man. 10-year fucking grind.
Yep. You mentioned this also, I think. Oh, well, we spoke about him. Paul Rivera.
Yep. Caliber.
Yep.
Why
so first of all, the frankness that he gave me. That is what I needed at the time as well. And I think that's what a lot of founders need is, if it's shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. We don't need to get emotional.
No.
Right? Let's just fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. A lot of, actually, when I pitch and when I'm talking on stage, came from him. I don't know if he knows that.
It's the Calbo connection right there.
That could be it too. Yeah.
Right.
No, he gave us a couple of workshops back in the day on how to pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So how many am I at?
4. You have one last pick. So Shoemate, MK, Gian, and Paul. Who's the last pick?
I'm thinking. I feel like I had a name, but or I'm missing a name. Sorry, I'm not thinking about the number one, but I feel like I made a mental list and I'm missing a name.
No problem.
Right, or I may have switched somebody with somebody else.
Hala. Who is it among the 4?
I don't know. No, I'm not.
Right.
So I'm not thinking about number one. Just full disclosure here. But no. The last one is Christian Blanquera.
CB, what's up?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Started the community, created his own, did e-commerce, and actually exited as well. He could have been just another e-commerce shop, right? But he isn't, and he didn't become because he is the great person that he is. He had the mind to think, let's create a community called StartupPH, right? Man, I was deep into corporate when he started that thing. Yeah. And he's kept a low profile as well. I think
super humble and always willing to help.
Exactly. Right.
I'm one of them people that he's helped so much and still helps till now.
I used to call Georgie every now and then. And then the last time I met with him, he said, I just want to enjoy life. And then later on find out that he passed. And the only thing I regretted was actually not calling on him more.
Yeah.
Actually. So, Christian Blanquera for sure. Sorry, I have a 6th, so I can't remember. Sorry about that.
No worries.
But Francis Simisim.
There you go.
There you go. Also a master. We talk a lot about not necessarily startups, but founder development. And what I've learned with him is that a lot of founders, it's not a Filipino thing, building stuff and pitching.
It's present everywhere.
It's present everywhere. In India, they do the same thing. They have the same mistakes. They just have more money and more engineers.
Correct.
So it's happening at scale.
Yeah.
It's a natural. And what I've learned with him is it's human nature.
Yeah.
You default into what you're good at. So you start doing the thing you're good at.
Assume and you skip steps.
You fall in love with your idea. So you start defending it.
Yeah.
Versus pivoting and analyzing the data. So there, and then he's the one that gave me that there are no right or wrong. There are only journeys. I used to have this idea, crowdfunding for entrepreneurship education, right? So get the rich people to pay for the poor people's entrepreneurial education. And then he said, bro, it's not going to work. Why? People need to, what is it? There is a price to get into entrepreneurship. And if you give it for free, they're not going to appreciate it. They're not going to succeed. So it's not going to work. Let's agree to disagree, I said.
Okay. And then what happened?
Well, now I'm no longer offering that. So I told him, hey, dude, you were right. And he goes, no, that was just the journey you had to go through. There's no right or wrong. You just had to try it your own, see it doesn't work, and then, come to a new conclusion and then test that.
Sounds good. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Carlo. But before I let you go, how do they reach out to you? You've given a really good glimpse. Again, if a newbie founder is here or an existing founder that just needs someone to bounce off ideas for.
Yeah.
You've been there. And what I like about you is you've been super, the candor that you have about coming clean in your failure. And that's what's important.
You. Yeah,
right?
man.
Not a lot of founders who have failed come clean. They just sometimes disappear. I wish you can put it out. I mean, case-to-case basis. It took me a while also to come to terms, but I said, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to put it out there, hopefully so that people can learn about it, right? But if they want to reach out to you, where do they go and how do they do that?
Sure. So Carlo at startupphtraining.com or find me on Messenger on Facebook, Carlo P. Valencia. We also have a Facebook group called Founders Coaching Program. So if that's something you're interested in, search it and that will be the first listing.
There you go.
Message me and then we'll schedule a session, and then hopefully by the time you meet with me, there's a registration form already.
There you go. MVP. There you go.
A sign-up form. But right now, it is a landing page with a link to HubSpot so that you can schedule a meeting. Even if you're not signing up, feel free. If you have questions, have a conversation anyway.
Sounds good.
I answer a whole bunch of questions to non-participants as well.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be the start of that funnel.
There you go. All right. And again, Carlo, thank you very much. Before I let you go, follow us on whatever podcast app you're listening to. And if you're also watching on YouTube, as you should, like, comment, and subscribe. Again, because there's so many people that watch Founders Only, but only select few of you subscribe. If you want to help me out, and then please fucking press that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Okay, that's important. Again, it helps us also get resources to keep this going. Because as you've known me now, 4 years in, I plan to do this for a long time, and we need to pay some bills. Okay, producing this shit ain't cheap. The best you can get is like, comment, and subscribe. And then if there's some ads, once we get monetized, please don't skip it. Okay, that's it. I know it's painful, but just listen to it. Try to listen to the whole thing. And again, if we did say some jargon, it's going to be the show notes on Hustleshare.com. And lastly, if you want to be part of the community and be part of how we create our content, we have a premium membership at premium.hustleshare.com that gives you exclusive dibs on the stuff that we do here on Founders Only and on Hustleshare. Again, Carlo, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Thank you so much for watching Hustleshare on YouTube. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel to get more content like this. And to get the full audio episodes of Hustleshare and Founders Only, subscribe to our podcasts at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.